flexible of doing it, so it depends on your requirement. If you want, you can do it.
And you have to manually change it every time.
A manual, I must type in all the InfoObject names. Doesn't make sense. If there is some specific scenario where I am not able to control the data types, then I can use my InfoObject name as a template. Then let it create the field names of that InfoObject. Okay, clear? Okay, one more point I would like to stress on here. Now, what is your target bus? Attribute table. Okay. So, is it a table? Does it have a name? /BIC/P InfoObject name. Can we see that in the data dictionary in SC11, where you can see all the tables? Can you see this table also? What is the InfoObject name? Geography, right? Can I open another session? SC11 /BIC/P InfoObject name. So this is going to be the target table. In the table, okay. And this is just mapping rules, right? And what about this? Data source. So what about this? Is this data source a table like stuff? That's what I want to know. Is this data source? Is it something like table? Yes. Yes. It's a table. So actually, what they do, I told you there's something called PSA when I was telling you about the BW architecture. Data staging is done in PSA, attribute table, text table, hierarchy tables, ODS, cube. So PSA is also one of the staging areas. Temporary staging. We don't do reporting, but temporary staging. So the word data source and PSA are used interchangeably always. Data source means PSA, PSA means data source. Okay. So when you say PSA or when you say data source, it's a table. It is a table. So how do you know what is a table formed in the backend? Now look at this. Right click. When you say manage, this is the way you can find the table. What is here? It's your /BH/B00000177. That's a table name internally. Yeah? So can I see this table in the other session in S11? /BIC/B00000177, and the blanks you fill them with zeros, no problem. When I say display, I am going to get a table. It is a table. Okay. My question is, what columns will you have with this table? Now, before you try this, when I activate this data, when is this table formed? When this data source was activated, this table is created in the backend. When the data source is activated, this table is created in the backend. Okay. Now tell me, so that there is a direct link between your data source and the table. Our table lo em columns untayi. What is the structure of the table? That's what my question is. So you're saying what are you loading the attributes? No, because you might be loading 100 attributes, but in the data source I might have 5 also. Remaining all I might be filled with routine. Name not simple logic chudamma. Data source activate చేసినప్పుడు అది క్రియేట్ అవుద్ది అన్నాను. అప్పుడు ఆ డేటా సోర్స్లో ఏ కాలమ్స్ ఏ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ మీద బేస్ అయ్యి రావాలా, డేటా సోర్స్ బేస్ అయ్యి రావాలా. డేటా సోర్స్లో ఏమున్నాయి, ఇన్ఫోబిక్స్ ఉన్నాయి, ఫీల్డ్స్ ఉన్నాయి. Fields. Where is this? What fields do you have? What is this list of fields considered as? What is this? You call transfer structure. Transfer structure. Yes. So the PSA table, the backend table is formed with transfer structure. Any doubt here? Data source lo nu edaithe fields vastayani cheppino ade fields tho transfer structure create chestundi. Ante table create avutundi, database table which can hold records in it. Okay boss. Now apart from this transfer structure, it will also have 4 fields extra in it. Request number, data packet, record number, parties number. 4 column, technical columns ఉంటాయి. అంటే ఎందుకంటే look at this. You have this table, right? Then you go to run something called info package to load. When you load in, what happens? The data from the source is actually loaded to PSA, nothing but this table. If I load 5 times, all the data what you load 5 times will come into the same table only. But I should be differentiating that కదా. 5 సార్లు లోడ్ చేస్తే ఒక్కోసారి 10 రికార్డులు లోడ్ చేస్తుంది. ఈ టేబుల్కి వస్తే 50 రికార్డులు ఉంటాయి. ఆ 50 రికార్డులు ఏది ఫస్ట్ టైం లోడ్ చేసిండేది, ఏది సెకండ్ టైం లోడ్ చేసింది, ఏది థర్డ్ టైం లోడ్ నాకు తెలుసు లేదు. రికార్డ్స్లో 50 రికార్డులు చూస్తా. ఫస్ట్ టైం లోడ్ చేసిన 10 రికార్డులు ఏంది, సెకండ్ టైం లోడ్ 10 రికార్డ్స్. హౌ టు రికగ్నైజ్ What records are loaded with the first instance of loading or second instance of loading or third instance? How do I know this? So every time you run the info package, will it have one request number? So that's what it does is, in this table, it maintains those records with respect to saying which request records techindi. Again, in a single request, we will be having data in multiple packets. So in this request, which packet, what is the record number? And this is the record. And those will be primary. Now look at this display. Request number, data packet, partition number, record number as a primary key in this. No, batti kodte gurtundadamma. Logical ga ఆలోచించాలి. డేటా సోర్స్ క్రియేట్ చేసినప్పుడు టేబుల్ క్రియేట్ అయింది. సో ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ స్ట్రక్చర్లో ఏమిటో అదే ఫీల్డ్స్ ఇక్కడ ఉంటాయి. సో అపార్ట్ ఫ్రమ్ దిస్ వచ్చిన డేటా అంతా పడుతుంది కాబట్టి డిఫరెన్షియేట్ చేయడానికి కోసం ప్రైమరీకి ఏది పెట్టలేదు కాబట్టి రిక్వెస్ట్ నెంబర్, డేటా ప్యాకెట్, రికార్డ్ నెంబర్ కాంబినేషన్ ఇట్ ఫార్మ్ దిస్ టెక్నికల్ కీస్ as primary key. And as it is, so these four are primary key, and as it is others are non-key columns. Which is, what is this columns? Transfer structure. What are the columns we had in transfer structure? Same thing is formed here. And as it is, how many records will be there in this table now? How many records? 0. I have not yet done any loading now. 0. Good. Okay, na? Right. So remember, data source is nothing but what? PSA, and it creates a DB table with what structure? With transfer structure fields and plus 4 technical fields. Request number, data packet number, record staging area, record number and partition number. Very, very important. He's saying, is it like staging area? Yes, temporary staging area. You just to load, I'll bring data there, and from there I'll take it to target bus. Okay. And one more point, information about this PSA table is, PSA is temporary bus, temporary staging, temporary ga pettukuntam ante. Okay, that is one point. One more point is, PSA table is filled when you actually run the info package. You'll have a component called info package. When you create it and schedule it, it extracts data from source and loads it to data source. As the next step, you would be seeing it. When you run the info package, it extracts data from where? Source, and loads it to what? Data source. Once the loading is done, when I observe the data in the data source and my source, both will be exactly same without any modifications. What I mean to say is, PSA table will hold the data exactly same as in source. PSA table will hold the exact replica of data what is coming from source. Flat file lo data etlundo atle vachi కూర్చుంటున్నాం. Flat file data తప్పులు ఉన్నా దాన్ని పట్టించుకోదు. Irrespective of any error, irrespective of any data quality, it will extract data from source and data will come to PSA. Because PSA will hold exactly the replica of data coming from source without any modifications. Without any data, not view, it's a table, physical table. Records will come and sit into the table. But what I am saying is, source lo data etlundo atle vachi కూర్చుంటుంది without any modifications. That's what I mean to say. So, what is it?
So let's say the source is very big, large file for the same exact file. So will it allocate that much space?
Yes, it allocates. There is something called PSA table space, through which they allocate space for the PSAs. Okay. So now your question should be, am I not wasting space here? When I am not using this data, once I take it to the above targets, I will clean up. In the real time, they will be cleaning the PSA table which is older than 7 days. They will be cleaning the table regularly. Automatic cleaning will be doing. Automatic background jobs. No, let me finish it. Do you understand this?
Maximum time for PSA table.
Maximum?
Maximum time for PSA table.
No one would stop you. But generally what happens, the basis people would allocate something called table space. For all the PSA tables, there will be something called PSA table space. They'll say, boss, the PSA table space which was allocated is exceeding, please clean up on what చెప్తాడు. But చెప్పక ముందే we'll have regular housekeeping activities in BW where you'll be regularly deleting the PSA. Normal standard is they try to delete 7 days old. ఎందుకంటే till 7 days they'll try to maintain that as backup for safety. Suppose something happens to the top, we can bring them from data source back again. Okay, that is one. Okay, now what is a benefit I get when it is holding same replica bus? Okay, what we can do, look at this, look at the thought. You should have this thought. Say in the file I have some invalid data, some junk data is there. So will it still bring it to PSA? Yes, it comes in. But when I am trying to load from data source to the target, it fails, saying there is some junk data. Data source ki aithe junk data unna vachestunది, akkadi nunchi paiki petappudu fail avutundi. Enduku fail ayindra ante junk data undi, appudu em chestamu? Then when I speak to business, he says yes boss, that is junk, please remove it antadu. Okay, then first thing what I'll do, I'll ask my source person to correct it and give me a correct file always. If he says no boss, మా దాంట్లో ఇట్లా correct నువ్వు చూసుకో అంటాడు, అప్పుడు ఏం చేయాలి? So PSA, I got data bus, I already have all the same data in PSA. We can edit the data in PSA. The data what is there in the data source table or nothing PSA table can be edited bus. So records and PSA ko se PSA ki nu editing cheyochu, correct values adi pettesi, then you load from PSA to or target or data source to target. So I can use that PSA for error handling bus. Yeah, okay. So it holds a same data from source and we can use it for what? You understand what is error handling bus? ఏదైనా జంక్ డేటా ఉంటే మనం అక్కడ ఫిక్స్ ఎడిటింగ్ చేసుకుని పైకి ఎత్తుకోవచ్చు. డన్ అయిపోయిందన్న, డన్. సో నెక్స్ట్ మై ఫ్లో ఈజ్ రెడీ అండ్ ఇట్ ట్రిగ్గర్ విత్ డేటా లోడ్స్ బై యూజింగ్ ఇన్ఫో ప్యాకేజ్ అండ్ DTP బస్. ఫస్ట్ థింగ్ ఈజ్ వాట్? ఫోర్త్ స్టెప్ వుడ్ బి వాట్? క్రియేట్ ఇన్ఫో ప్యాకేజ్ అండ్ స్టార్ట్. నెక్స్ట్ schedule అంటాం. Schedule అంటే జనరల్ వి schedule it to in the real time. We don't start it just for loading once, we'll be loading every day. So we'll schedule this in the background. Okay na boss? For now I'll show you how to schedule it later, but for now I'm just starting it. That's why I said create info package and start the load, start the data load. Okay, what's the doubt?
So let's say day 1 we got in 10 records, and let's say we had a problem with the data and we stopped it from loading into the target. So let's say next day another additional 10 records have been added to the data source. So we bring in other 10. So still PSA can hold that 10, that will be 20 records in the whole.
That's why I told you PSA will differentiate the records based on the request number. Already when you load it yesterday, it will have R1 10 records. Now when you load the next day again, it says R2 10 more records. So it is differentiating those records based on the request number. So with the request number you can find out which are the records of yesterday, which are the records of today. So it will be accumulating all those records there.
Will be date next to it? Obviously it was.
Yeah, so I put it down. So after 7 days, that is the stipulated time we assigned to it, right? Let's say we still couldn't get through that error handling scenario for, let's say,
You'll make sure you stop that job. You'll have a parameter where it says 7 days something, you'll make it test 10. That's
the PSA will go on increasing on this case.
That's it. Now look at this. And while deleting, you can also have an option saying delete only those requests which are older than 7 days and which are successfully handled also. I can also give that criteria also. Now how to create info package now? Select this data source, okay. And one more, info package is specific to data source. See, data source is specific to source system and the info package is specific to data source. And for example, if I have 5 data sources, each data source should have its own info package. I cannot create one info package and use it for all the 5 data sources. No. ఏ డేటా సోర్స్కి దాని సొంతం ఒక ఇన్ఫో ప్యాకేజ్ ఉండాల్సింది. ఇప్పుడు 5 డేటా సోర్స్ ఉన్నాయి, ఒక ఇన్ఫో ప్యాకేజ్ క్రియేట్ చేసి 5కి అది వాడలేను. ఏ డేటా సోర్స్కి దాని సొంతం ఒక ఇన్ఫో ప్యాకేజ్ ఉండాల్సింది. Info package is always specific to data source. Okay. If I have 5 data sources, each data source should have its own info package. And possible that one data source can have multiple info packages also. Okay, info package అన్ని data source వాడలేను. ఒకే డేటా సోర్స్కి చాలా ఇన్ఫో ప్యాకేజ్ కూడా ఉండొచ్చు ఛాన్స్. Now select this. So this is one new data source. So for this I need to have one info package. Right click on this and say what is create info package. Now don't worry. Let's say load flat file data to what? We are loading only till data source, nothing but what? PSA. What is it? Set something geog. So from flat file, so by using this info package, we are extract data from flat file and loading it to what? Only till data source only. So now when creating info, it asks me, you want this info package for which data source here? Is this the data source? When I select this, what does it mean? I am creating info package for this data source. So info package is specific to data source. I can create multiple info packages for one data source, but same info package cannot be used for multiple data source. ఒక డేటా సోర్స్కి చాలా ఇన్ఫో ఫైల్ ఉండొచ్చు, కానీ ఒకే ఇన్ఫో ఫైల్ అన్ని డేటా సోర్స్లు వాడలేను. 10 ఉంటే 10 డేటా 10 ఇన్ఫో ఫైల్ ఉండాల్సిందే. యా,
data comes with the PSC.
yes, if info file loading is successful, data will come into what? PSC. That's what. Yes, correct. Nothing, don't worry in any other settings now. Schedule and say what? Start. And just go to monitor. And how many records have come? My flat file had 655 records. Ante kada? Gurturunda 6. Yes, yeah. So all the data has come in. Going on.
No, but I think it's closing to now.
Very short. Not over. They already saved it.
15 minutes.
Okay, now done. So now where should be my data? PS. I can see that PS data in two ways. One is data source, right click and say what? PS data source kada, manage. Let me just show you that. So you run info package once, right? So for this instance of loading, it does bring one request number. Look at this. What you get to know this number? What is it? Yes, this is actual request number. This is SID of the request. 126. Now let me go back. Now go to manager of the data source. For 126 request, show me data. Say what is PSC maintenance. Now it says there is one packet. All records of 655 come in single packet. Why, I'll tell you later. We'll see how to control the packet size later.
So is packet the instance?
Packet. This is instance. Request number is instance of loading. Within that instance, you can have multiple data packets being processed. Now it is only one packet. Data package. It's like bundle of data. That's it. Say loading 1 lakh records. If I say packet size is 10,000, for each 10,000 records, it makes a bundle and sends in as a packet. So you'll get 10 packets, with each packet containing 10,000 records. Bundle ante. Logical grouping. Yeah. Now select this. I want to see data. Continue. So maximum it can show 1,000. You can increase the count, but I'm okay. 1,000 is less than 655. I'm okay with this. Say continue. So కనిపిస్తుందా? So it will be now. Already we have come into this by selecting request number 126. Data packet what? All the records have got same packet 1. And what is this here? Record number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So our table even adhe కనిపిస్తుందా? Which request it is, which packet it is, which record it is. Each record connect. I can see same thing at the table level also in the back end. Now 655. Table level చూడొచ్చు. Request number. Data packet 1. What is here? Record count 1, 2, 3. Don't worry in this partition now. We use that partition column when you partition the PSA table. Don't get into that. Okay, boss, fine. I have my data available. Done. So now where is my all data available now? In my data source. My next step is I need to extract data from data source and load it to what? Target. Now will the data get executed through the transformations? If transformation execute aitaya, but the data when it comes to data source, when you run info package, no transformations are executed because transformations are after data source. Okay. So next we'll say create. So DTP will have different types. Now we're going to create standard DTP to extract data from source object and load into target object. Okay. Now what is my source object here? Data source. What is my target object? Mass data.
So what was the significance of that SID number in the request?
Yeah, it is converting your alphanumeric value to numeric value because it assumes that normal request ID is also stored in the cube as a characteristic. Like any other characteristic, request ID is also a characteristic in the cube, which is connected to dimension. So SID of the request ID is also connected to data packet dimension bus. Okay. Now, how do you create DTP bus? Either ways. No. You can either right click on the target, you will have option called what? Create data transfer process, or expand your target. You see a folder called what? Data transfer process. You can right click on this and you get option. Anyway, it's fine. DTP. Very good. See, now again, DTP also will. We use DTP to load from one source object target. What is the source object in this case? Data source. What is the target object? Master data. Not mandatory that only these two. I can use DTP to load from one cube to another cube. I can use DTP for load from one ODS to cube. Anything. Source object undala, target object undala. Don't do anything. Just activate your DTP now. For now, we'll get into details later. Yeah. Done. Just say execute and say what? Get to the execute tab and execute. Now, this will extract all the data from data source and loads it to your master database. Any records same again. Packet 1 650. It clearly tells you. When I run the DTP from data source, it has extracted data of which request? In data source, I had the 655 of which request? 126. So it is extracted all the records where my request ID is 126 and loaded to master as which request. Now again, when you run DTP also, it generates one more number, 127. So this is your DTP request here, DTPR, yeah? And this is the SID of your DTP request. Now, once it is successfully loaded, I should see the manage of it. If I go to my attribute, manage, I can see the request, the complete log of the requests which are processed. 127 is a request ID. If you go to, how many records are loaded? 655. If I go to right, I can see the DTP request number. I can also see the source system from where it has come in, data source name. I can see complete details of this request. Okay.
So for every subsequent loading instance, will the SID will be generated?
Yes.
So it will be additional.
Yes. So now if this is loaded, once this is loaded, now can I delete data in the PSA? Yes. If you feel that it's occupying a lot of space, you can delete it out. Good. Now next, what should be the effect bus? Now if I go to the master data, should I see those 655 records now? Right click and say what? Maintain master data bus. Execute. Do I see this? All the data loaded bus. Now can I observe the same content in the P table in the backend? Either you see there, or can I see in the backend of the P table also? It's same. P table of what? Geography bus. Showing 200, but I can remove this 200 here. Max limit. I can see all the records. 656 records. 655 we had, and one blank record at the top. Always you'll have blank record. I'll show you. Well, tell when, why blank later. Okay. Because in the master data I need one option called null, so we use that. Okay. Apart from filling attribute table, system would do something. What is it? SID generation. Should it generate SIDs in the SID table? So can I see SID table? What is it? S display SID table of geography key. You have loaded data into attribute table of geography, so it does generate SIDs only in the SID table of geography person. Now go to contents. 2. Let me take out this 2 and then. You got 50 because country key, geography key is also numbers. My SID is also number, but this is num-c, numeric character, but this is integer. You can see this. This is num-c, but what is this data here? Integer. So processing of num-c is always considered as characters. So you still need SIDs in that case also. Okay, numbers fine. Clear or not? This is about bringing master data into BW. Now my next question is, now this had an attribute called what? ZCT. If I go to, so for geographic key, city is the attribute. Will it have SID table? Now question in there. I said, will it have SID table? Yes. How many records in it? 655 or 666? 655. no database. It will not generate SIDs for the attributes. It will generate SIDs because your SID is specific to the main key field, geographic key. So when I am loading attribute data of geographic key, it does generate SIDs only for SID table of geography, not the SID of your attributes. Did I tell this in star schema? But if I load data into the text table of city, then SIDs will come for city SID. When I am using city as attribute of geography, it means I am only using structure of it, only the definition of it.
So you didn't find activation or attribute change?
We don't need attribute change, and you will need only when you are using aggregates. Now I don't need. Okay, and I don't need activating of master data because I am not overwritten anything. It's a first new set of data.
Next time on this.
Clear on this bus? Done? So this is about loading master data bus. Any doubt? And I can see the complete data flow. One more right click, I can say now display data flow. Sorry. Right click on the InfoObjects, so say display data flow. Source system, data source, transformations, attribute, nothing but your InfoObject bus. I can say technical names, zoom in, I can say runtime objects. When I say runtime objects, you get to see what? Look at this. What is this here? It is normal flow. Runtime objects to run the data flow. You got what is this here? ZPack and info package. This is Madhula. Yeah, transformations. No, this is DDP. Then in the transformations. This is transformations. Overlap. There is transformation and there is a DDP also there. Then transformation. So this is how you can see the flow with runtime objects also. This is about loading master data. Clear? Any doubt now? You can ask your doubts.
So wherever any transaction data is loaded, so SID will be generated for the attribute of geography.
When you're loading transaction data without master data, and if you allow it, then it will generate, it will insert and extract. If suppose now I got 655 countries geography. Now you're loading transaction with 700 integer country currency with geographic key with 700 bus, which is not there in the master. If you load, then what happens? It will go to master, insert that characteristic value, generate SID in the SID table, use it in the dimension SID, use it in the fact table. But if you see the master data for 700, you will not have any attributes blank, because as it is, you have not loaded master data. Any other doubt? So we will get into the recording. Okay? No, clear.